Hey everybody. So this is actually comfortable hell number 10, I believe. I'm so not good at the organization part of all of this, but I feel like my job right now is to get content out there. So I do have somebody that helps me with all this, so hopefully I'll be a little bit more organized. But this is number 10. The last in my last episode, I talked about all the psychological stuff and how you hopefully have your own mind to be safe in, and a lot of times when you're being manipulated and abused, it's psychologically, it's like you you don't even feel like you have that. So I was thinking about the powerlessness feeling that that it's kind of like I was aware of, but I wasn't. It's so weird as you start to become more aware of this. But like in my story that I'm telling, I'm only in the second year of my relationship at this point, up until this point. And it's kind of like the second year is very, you can tell that by this time everything is sort of in place. It's like my shit, my garbage and his garbage and everything come in and perfectly align, and everything just keeps rolling in this perfectly jacked up, dysfunctional way that it fits each other's junk. Do you know what I mean? And because it's like, if I was a emotionally healthy, mature person, this last relationship, most of mine, if not all of them, would have weeded itself out very early on. There's no way that an emotionally healthy person would stay with the person that I was with. There's no way. It's like you would start to feel all of these control techniques and tactics that were happening, and you would have been like, nah, I have too much respect for myself. You could say that I did, but it's like there's no way that I did, because I would have never taken all the shit that I took in that relationship. So I was thinking along the lines of, and I've written about this before, but I want to actually talk about it too, is when I was younger and how my upbringing and in the environment that I was raised in set the stage for this, for my future relationships. And we cannot, under any circumstances, and I know, everyone most people have a pretty jacked up family, life, or they'll have, stories about their childhood. Some are absolute horror stories, and some are not so bad. They kind of joke around, yeah, my parents, blah, blah, blah. So everyone has a different level, but I would say the majority of people have, some sort of abusive story to tell. And for the most part, our parents do try to do their best. It's just like me today. It's like, I bring over a lot of crap, and I do my best to raise my kids in a healthy way, in a healthy environment, but I'm sure they'll have stories too. You know what I mean? We try to do better every generation, I would hope. And if you think about it on a level from 0 to 10, as far as my upbringing, 10 being like the most abusive, disgusting, thing you can imagine, and 0 being not really anything, I would say mine was maybe a 7, coming from my point of view. It was a battleground. And the funny thing is my brother would always say, we had the best childhood ever. Like, our parents were the best, and they did everything for us. And God, and I would think to myself, maybe there's something wrong with me, that I have a very different view from how he saw it. And then not all that long ago, I realized that he does see it that way. And I didn't have that. As siblings, you do not have the same upbringing. You do not. It's cool. Like in my readings, I'll talk about your moon sign, which is basically how you view your mother. And, and my brother and I have different moon signs, so we definitely viewed our mom as somebody very different. But I know that my brother he was given everything. So my dad gave him everything, cars. I mean, you name it. Anytime he made a mistake, it was like he was just given something. And I was very different. I had to pay, the minute I turned 18, I had to pay rent at my parents' house because I was going to school, but living at home. And my brother's 5 years older than me, and he was still living there, but he didn't have to pay rent. And my mom told me like a year later, she's like, I'm done with this. Your dad doesn't make your brother pay and you have to pay. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I have to pay rent. My sister had to pay rent, but he doesn't. So, I can understand why my brother had the view of our upbringing very differently because he was given everything. But he, I was like so vulnerable. It's like, I was thinking, I'm just a horrible person because I'm seeing my childhood as being very volatile and very like a battle zone. But my brother's like, no, it was so wonderful. It's like, puppy dogs and ice cream and shit. And I'm like, that's not how I see it. And he would always, it was like, I had to see it his way, but it wasn't like that. And so I was dealing with a very, like a imbalanced childhood, so I had a brother who was, has a personality disorder. Like, there's no way he doesn't. And like, there's nothing I can do about it. I remember I talked to a therapist I was seeing, and she was like looking at me like, there's a lot of problems there. And I was like, and I had so much anger as a child, just from being controlled and just looking at, a sibling who could do nothing wrong. And, everything that was mine was his. So talk about a narcissistic environment. I owned nothing. In my last relationship, I was owned by him. And it was like that in my childhood upbringing. I had nothing of my own. So anytime my brother would just take things of mine, and in his head, he truly believed they were his. And he would ruin them in some way, and I would go and tell my mom, and she would be like, what do you want me to do about it? There's nothing I could do. So as a little kid, I'm punching holes in walls, and just scratching myself as hard as I could, because I just had, like, there was nobody to tell me, you are valid in what you're saying, and I'm going to fight for you. And I remember thinking to myself, like, why doesn't my mom just leave? Why can't we just leave? I wanted her to leave. And she would always say, your dad is a good provider. And I swear to God, there's generation after generation where I could talk to women in that family and they'd go, oh, they're good providers. And I would be like, who gives a shit, Mom? You be fine. Why are you not, and she just could never do it. And so I learned from that. It's like, I learned that no matter what is in front of you, no matter what painful, no matter what anyone is doing to you, you just have to take it. And, I saw my mom as literally one of the strongest people on the face of the planet. I have an Aries moon, so, I saw my mom as an Aries, like freaking nobody's going to tell her what to do. She's a steamroller. But behind the scenes, so you have this very spoken, as I saw her, just a woman who would do anything for anyone, getting shit done, running the whole house, but she was literally powerless behind the scenes. And so I feel like I am that person. I'm, anyone that knows me would be like, oh my God, she's so strong and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, I'm powerless. When something horrible is happening in front of me, I just have to take it. And that's exactly what I did in this relationship. And granted, I know that I had a lot of relationships that I should have gotten out of very early on, but I couldn't. But this last one that I had is so significant. And like I said, I think I said in other recordings that I couldn't get out of it because I'm here to teach it. And, no matter what happened in this relationship, it was like I had to endure, turn a blind eye to the stuff that I saw going on and the stuff I didn't want to put up with, but I just had to. And for what? Well, because we had a nice living, right? It was a nice living. It was the American dream. And mind you, let me tell you guys, the American dream, like, do you really want to be that? These people, oh my God, everyone is, it's like you live in the freaking capital from Hunger Games. That's what I see everything as, like, right now. People are so delusional and crazy, and oh God, it's insane. And so as far as I'm concerned, your dream looks like your dream. And it doesn't have to be a cookie cutter family and a house and 2 cars and a dog and kids and all this bullshit. It's like, you may choose to be alone, or you may choose to live with your best friend, or you may choose to live, on a farm by yourself. It doesn't matter. It's like, what is it that makes you happy? Because I feel like we're trying to reach this, like I said, this American dream that was created how many years ago, how many decades ago, and it's hardwired in us to believe that that's the best way to do it. And that once you get all of those things, once you get the house in the suburbs, and you both have salaries, and you both have cars, and you have kids, and you have a dog, and all this shit, then it's perfect, and you can move on. And people are accomplishing those things, and they're still unhappy. At the end of the day, you go to bed and you're like, I hate my life. I can't stand it. But you're like, oh, I should be appreciative because I have everything. Oh my God, but you're still not happy. And, I realized that is exactly where I was. It's like I kept obtaining this dream that wasn't mine. And, maybe it's not for me. Maybe that exact structure and cookie cutter bullshit isn't for me. So why do I keep doing it time and time again? And I'm ending up in manipulative relationships. And I'm not saying that I'm not manipulative, because I don't know any better either. So I'm having these jacked up relationships, and it's like, it doesn't mean that it's perfect for me. What do I want? What do I want? What do I see as, fulfilling? And we never ask ourselves that, especially as women. It's kind of like, what do I need to do to make this dream happen that isn't even mine? It's someone else's. So anyway, that's how I'm feeling today. Like, go ask yourself what your needs are. Ask yourself where you've been lying to yourself. Because I'll tell you what's under there is like awakening. Thanks for listening in. We'll talk to you guys soon.